Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Today we are going to discuss the treatment of depression, antidepressant drugs. Depression, as the name is indicating, is one of the most common psychiatric disorders. The prevalence is 5 to 6% in population. It is characterized by depressed mood most of the time for at least 2 weeks and loss of interest or pleasure in most activities. In addition, it is characterized by disturbance in sleep and appetite, as well as deficits in cognitions and energy. There is a thought of guilt, and patient has usually the sense of worthlessness, and there is a tendency of suicide. It's very common. Then there are some precipitating factors like coronary artery disease, diabetes mellitus, or stroke are more in depressed patients. So one should know that these are precipitating factors. Then depression is broadly divided into 3 types: reactive or common or secondary depression. Reactive depression occurs due to adverse life events, physical illness like myocardial infarction or carcinoma or AIDS or any other, or secondary as a result of drugs. When the patient is using for hypertension, control of hypertension, he is on alcohol or alcoholic, or he or she is using hormones, or other psychiatric disorders. And then also old age, patient can have this reactive depression. Mostly the prevalence is more than 60%. All depression is reactive depression. Sign and symptoms of this depression: there is depression, anxiety, body complaints, tension and guilt. Then endogenous depression or major or recurrent or melancholic depression occurs due to genetic determination, biochemical disturbances, has a family history. There is a decreased transmission of catecholamines and serotonin. Prevalence is 25% of all depression. There is abnormal sleep rhythm. Also there is abnormal motor activities, loss of libido, there is disturbance in appetite. Then third type is manic depressive disorder or bipolar affective disorder. Occurs as episode of mania alone, or the depression alone, or usually mania and depressive extremes. Prevalence is 10 to 15% of all depression. For this third type depression, we use lithium, stabilizes the mood. Mania requires antipsychotic, antidepressant, and for the treatment as well. As far as the pathophysiology of depression is concerned, especially the major depression, endogenous depression, previously it used to be the causation, or there used to be As far as the pathophysiology is concerned, or pathogenesis of major endogenous depression is concerned, nowadays neurotropic hypothesis is that there is a nerve growth factor such as brain-derived neurotropic factor or BDNF. This is critical in regulation of neuronal plasticity, resilience, and neurogenesis. So this is associated with the loss of neurotropic support, and that effectively antidepressant therapies increase neurogenesis and synaptic connections in the cortical areas such as hippocampus. So brain-derived neurotropic factor is thought to exert its influence on neuronal survival and growth effects by activating the tyrosine kinase receptors beta in both neurons and glia. Hypothalamus, medial frontal cortex, and anterior cingulate. These are the sites where this neurotropic hypothesis is basing. And then monoamines deficiency like catecholamines, norepinephrine and serotonin, they are deficient, and this is a old and time tested theory. This is based on the fact that reserpine depletes the stores of these monoamines from vesicle of the presynaptic nerve endings. This causes the sign and symptoms of depression. This has led to the discovery of new antidepressant drugs which have their primary action on the metabolism, reuptake, and selective receptor antagonism of serotonin or norepinephrine or both. The third is the hormonal or neuroendocrine factors in pathogenesis of depression. So the third factor is neuroendocrines. So mainly the hypothalamus pituitary axis abnormalities, they are going to matter, and that is going to be associated with depression. Secondly, the thyroid dysregulation is reported in depressed patients. Up to 25% of depressed patients are reported to have abnormal thyroid functions. And the third are the sex steroids are indicated in the causation of depression. Estrogen deficiency states which occur in postpartum and postmenopausal periods are thought to play a role in the etiology of depression in some women. Likewise, several testosterone deficiencies are the severe deficiency of testosterone deficiency in men is sometimes associated with depressive symptoms. So hormone replacement therapy in hypogonadal men and women may be associated with the improvement in mood and depressive symptoms. So these are different three theories how the depression may be the disease, and how you can rectify by use of drugs. Antidepressant drugs, they are classified into three in these groups. Number one, tricyclic antidepressant. That means they have 3 ring nuclei like imipramine, tofranil, amitriptyline, triptanol, doxepin, desipramine, nortriptyline, protriptyline, clomipramine, trimipramine, dothepin. These are tricyclic antidepressants. Then second group, heterocyclic antidepressants, second generation agents, amoxapine, meprodolene, trazodone, bupropion. Then third generation agents, mirtazapine, nefazodone. Then selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors or SSRIs. They are very commonly used nowadays, very safe, very effective. Fluoxetine, Prozac, and many other trade names. Paroxetine, Paxil, and other common trade names. Sertraline, Zoloft, and many other names. Fluvoxamine and citalopram. These are SSRIs. Then comes selective serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor or SNRIs, venlafaxine, desvenlafaxine, duloxetine, milnacipran. These are SNRIs. Then comes the last group, monoamine oxidase inhibitors, because catecholamines, they are metabolized after release by monoamine oxidase. So those which are going to selectively inhibit, so they are useful MAOIs. Phenazine, Nordal, trinylcypromine, Parnet, and nilamide. These are three monoamine oxidase inhibitors which are clinically used, are in those cases where the other drugs which are safe, they are not effective or they are not controlling, you can use these monoamine oxidase inhibitors. This diagram is showing you the hypothesis which I discussed about the pathophysiology of our degenerative changes due to neurotropic hypothesis of major depression. You can see on the left side that in a depressed state, you can see there are changes in the trophic factors, especially brain-derived neurotropic factor or BDNF, and hormones, especially the corticosteroid, glucocorticoids, and then thyroid hormones and sex hormones. These three hormones, they are affecting the depressive ailment. They appear to play a major role in development of major depression. And then on the right side, you can see that how they're successfully treated by different drugs, monoamines and glutamates and other brain-derived neurotropic factors, how they are going through nucleus, how they are going to change the status. You can see there is tree of dendrites and dendritic sprouts. They are how they are proliferating and how they are growing. So this is the main theory of nowadays neurotropic hypothesis of major depression, and after treatment how that is being rectified. This slide is showing you the main hypothesis of major depression. Depression appears to be associated with changes in serotonin or norepinephrine signaling in the brain, or both, with significant downstream effects. Most antidepressants cause changes in the mind signaling, and you can see how the tyramine is converted under the effect of tyrosine hydroxylase to norepinephrine, and that is being released, and that is metabolized by monoamine oxidase enzyme. And on the other side, on the left side, you can see the serotonergic tryptophan. Under the effect of tryptophan, hydroxylase is converted to serotonin or 5-hydroxytryptamine, and then it is metabolized by monoamine oxidase. So this is, and then after release, there is a reuptake. You can see on both sides, norepinephrine transporter mechanism or reuptake mechanism, and on the left side there is serotonin transporter mechanism. So if after release this is inhibited by different drugs, then the amount of norepinephrine on the postsynaptic fiber will increase. So this is how the most of the drugs, they are going to be effective in depression, or the treatment of depression, are those which are the monoamine oxidase inhibitors. By inhibiting the transport or the metabolism of norepinephrine or serotonin, they are going to increase the amount in the vicinity of postsynaptic axons. So this is how these drugs, they are effective in depression. This slide is showing you the pharmacokinetic parameters of various antidepressant drugs, how the tricyclic antidepressant, heterocyclic, and then SSRIs are serotonins, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and monoamine oxidase inhibitors, and SNRIs, how they are being absorbed. So most of the drugs, they are absorbed orally, and they go in the tricyclic antidepressant, they go significant first pass metabolism in the liver. They are high lipid solubility and high protein binding, that causes large volume of distribution. And after metabolism, some of the metabolites, they are active. So bioavailability is changed from 31% to up to 61%. Protein binding is 82 to 96%. Plasma half-life is 31 to 46 hours. Therapeutic plasma concentration, you can see at the last, with different drugs, you can see that there is difference between in these drugs. The different fluoxetine is bioavailability is 7%, and protein binding is 94%. Norfluoxetine is an active metabolite. Its plasma half-life is very long for days. So depending upon the active metabolites of these drugs, the effect of the drug is not only the plasma level of the drug, but its active metabolites. So we have to consider the effect. Likewise, the monoamine oxidase inhibitors, when they are given, the effect will be even after the drug has disappeared from the plasma, because it has blocked the monoamine oxidase enzyme. So the effect may be for days. So we have to consider that the metabolism of monoamine by inhibiting this monoamine oxidase enzyme, the effect will be for a prolonged period. So one has to be careful when you are using these antidepressant drugs. Otherwise, patient can have problem in metabolizing other drugs, which may lead to sometimes hazardous side effects. This slide is showing you the pharmacological differences among several antidepressant drugs, tricyclic antidepressants, amitriptyline. You can see that sedative effect is very highly marked. Likewise, antimuscarinic effect or atropine-like effect is again very much marked. Serotonin effect, the block of amine pump for serotonin is also very active. Likewise, norepinephrine, it is highly effective, but it is not affecting the dopamine pump. So this is how amitriptyline is showing you giving you the pharmacological effects as far as the sedation, antimuscarinic, serotonin blockade, and norepinephrine. So this is how these drugs, they are going to show you because the reuptake of pump of serotonin and norepinephrine, they are the off switches of amine neurotransmitters. This action permits a longer action of neurotransmitter at the receptor site. Then, if you see amoxapine, it has lesser sedative effects, lesser antimuscarinic effects, don't have much effect on serotonin, but on norepinephrine is a marked effect. Also on the dopamine. Bupropion, it don't have much effect as sedative or as antimuscarinic. So if you see, you know these the pharmacological effects, you can manage a patient with, say, if he is having problem of prostate hyperplasia, you can safely give bupropion, which is not having any antimuscarinic effect, so there is no problem of retention of urine. Then stelopram or estelazopam, they are serotonin is mainly because highly selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Then desipramine, doxepin, they are having strong sedative and antimuscarinic effects. Then very important is fluoxetine, very commonly used, less sedative and less antimuscarinic effect, but very selective for serotonin reuptake inhibitor, so and less effect on norepinephrine, dopamine. Imipramine having strong sedative and antimuscarinic effects, more effect on serotonin. So likewise, sertraline, trazodone having very strong sedative effects, but less effect on other sites. So this is if you know this, you can choose a good drug for the specific patient. This chart is showing you the usual daily dosage of antidepressant drugs. The first one, the tricyclic antidepressants. You can see that mainly the 75 milligram to 200 milligram, 300 milligram, clomipramine, decimipramine, again 75 to 200, then doxepin 75 to 300 milligram, then imipramine, nortriptyline 75 to 150 milligram, protriptyline 20 to 40 milligram, and they are used as, because we have to use for quite long, so we should know the dosage. Second and third generation agents, 150 to 300, and then bupropion 200 to 400, then venlafaxine 75 to 225, monoamine oxidase inhibitors, phenelzine 45 to 75 milligram, triacylpromine 10 to 30 milligram. Then comes SSRIs, are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, stelopram 20 to 60 milligram, fluoxetine, very commonly used, very safe, very effective drug, 10 to 60 milligram, fluoxamine 100 to 300, paroxetine 20 to 50 milligram, sertraline 50 to 200 milligrams. These are different dosage of these drugs. This chart is showing you the adverse effects of antidepressants, important tricyclic antidepressants. As far as the sedative effect, sleepiness, also there is additive effects with other sedative drugs like narcotics, alcohol, antihistamines, antipsychotics, so that they have additive effects when they are used along with these tricyclic antidepressants. One has to be careful. Then sympathomimetic effects like tremors and insomnia is common with tricyclic antidepressants. Antimuscarinic are atropine-like effects which will lead to blurring of vision, constipation, urinary hesitancy or retention, and confusion. Then cardiovascular, orthostatic hypertension, conduction defects, and cardiac arrhythmias, they are common with these tricyclic antidepressants. Then psychiatric, aggravation of psychosis or withdrawal syndrome. Neurological, there may be seizures or epileptical symptoms or fits. Then metabolic or endocrines, there may be weight gain or sexual disturbance. Then monoamine oxidase inhibitors, when they are used for quite long, although they are not safe drug, but in those cases where tricyclic are serotonin reuptake and other drugs, antidepressant drugs which are safe. They are not useful, they are not controlling the disease. You can use monoamine oxidase inhibitors. It can cause headache, drowsiness, dry mouth, weight gain, postural hypertension, sexual disturbance, and important drug interaction. Then amoxapine, similar to tricyclic, with the addition of some effects associated with its antipsychotic. Then meprotylene, similar to tricyclic, seizures are dose related. Mirtazapine, somnolence, increased appetite, weight gain and dizziness. Trazodone, nefazodone, drowsiness, dizziness, insomnia, nausea and agitation. Venlafaxine, nausea, somnolence, sweating, dizziness, anxiety, sexual disturbance and hypertension. Duloxetine, nausea, dry mouth, decreased appetite, insomnia, dizziness and sweating. Bupropion, dizziness, dry mouth, sweating, tremors, aggravation of psychosis, potential for seizures at high dosage. Then fluoxetine and other SSRIs, they can cause anxiety, insomnia, GIT disturbance, decreased libido, sexual dysfunction, teratogenic potential with fluoxetine. Interaction of tricyclic, this monoamine oxidase inhibitor, which is very important, is with the tyramine containing food like yogurt and cheese. And this interaction by inhibiting monoamine oxidase enzyme, that can cause serotonin syndrome. So one has to be careful when he is on or she is on monoamine oxidase inhibitors. They should not take tyramine containing food or beverages. This slide is showing the structure of tricyclic antidepressants or TCAs. Imipramine, amitriptyline, doxepin, nortriptyline, desipramine, protriptyline. All these, they are having tricyclic, tricycles are 3 cycles are the rings, and they are having other properties. So the good student, they should remember even the structure, but sometimes they are asked. This slide is showing the structure of tetracycline. Tetracyclics, amoxapine, meprotylene and mirtazapine, and the unicycle bupropion. This slide is showing you the dose range of different antidepressant drugs, SSRIs, which are very common use: citalopram, citalopram 20 to 60, 10 to 30, fluoxetine 20 to 60, fluvoxamine 100 to 300, paroxetine 20 to 60 milligram, sertraline 50 to 200 milligram. This slide is showing the dosage range of SNRIs, are selective norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. Venlafaxine 75 to 375 milligram, desvenlafaxine 50 to 200, duloxetine 40 to 120 milligram, and then tricyclic antidepressant mainly from 150 to 300 or 250 milligram. This is showing you the 5-hydroxytryptamine antagonists, nefazodone and trazodone, 300 to 500 and 150 to 300. Tetracyclic or unicyclic antidepressants, amoxapine, bupropion, meprotylene and mirtazapine, 150 to 400, 200 to 450. and monoamine oxidase inhibitors 30 to 60 milligram. These are the important dosage ranges. Then very important is drug interaction. Pharmacodynamic drug interactions before we complete this antidepressants, they are important because when the patient is on these antidepressants, he or she may take alcohol or other CNS depressants, so they can have additive effects. Likewise, monoamine oxidase inhibitors, phenazine, selegiline, and trilacipramine, that can increase the stores of catecholamines and also sensitize the patient to indirectly acting sympathomatics like tyramine, which are found in some fermented foods or beverages like yogurt and cheese. Moreover, and sympathomatic drugs are also will give rise to dangerous and fatal hypertensive reaction or hypertensive crisis. So one has to be very careful. Likewise, SSRIs are with monoamine oxidase inhibitors will give rise to serotonin syndrome. And then pharmacokinetic interactions. Paroxetine and fluoxetines are potent inhibitor of enzyme. So being enzyme inhibitors, they are going to decrease the metabolism of other drugs like, so inhibition of these enzymes can lead to increased blood level of the drugs like desipramine, nortriptyline, and gluconide, giving rise to toxicity. Moreover, nefazodone or fluvoxamine at high concentration inhibit the enzyme and thus will block the metabolism of terfenadine, which is antihistamine, estimazole, and cisapride, so causing rise in their level in the blood to cause fatal arrhythmias. So one has to be careful when the patient is on these antidepressant drugs. As far as the clinical uses, mainly for depression, major depression, then also in panic disorders or in obsessive compulsive disorders, also for anuresis, when bedwetting is a problem. Then in chronic pains, you can give these tricyclic antidepressants. And then other neurotic problems like eating disorders, bulimia nervosa, or attention deficit disorder, social phobias, generalized anxiety disorders. So all these clinical conditions, you can use antidepressant drugs. So this completes the treatment of depression. This slide is which we discuss in the treatment of bipolar disorder or mania and hypomania along with the depression. So the drugs which are used, we discussed in detail lithium and with the treatment of Neurolith. And then I told you the other drugs which can be used in the treatment of mania and hypomania, anti-epileptic drug like valproic acid and carbamazepine with the treatment of tegretol or Tegral, lamotrigine, lamictal, gabapentin, neurontin, chlorpromazine, which is antipsychotic drug Largectil, olanzapine, Zyprexa, Cotapine, and these are antipsychotic drugs, Seroquel. So these are drugs which can, other than lithium, although lithium is very effective, but in some condition where this is difficult or patient is getting side effect of lithium, then you can choose among the anti-epileptics or these antipsychotic drugs. to control mania and hypomania. This is a part of the lecture which I give you antipsychotic and then lithium.